Steve, thanks for doing this. I have to thank you. You are obviously the catalyst for bringing me down here. So going back, obviously you saw me, I know I was referred to you, but you looked up at my stuff on social media. So before ever meeting me, what was a couple things that you found that you had to get in touch with me?
So both of my boys have pitched some as they've come along in their careers, whether it was in youth, travel ball, and even now into high school. And they would both come home, they'd have different areas of the arm that they were sore, areas in their shoulder that they were sore. So one of the most important things to me was that these guys learn how to throw correctly, get the proper mechanics, arm care, the exercises that they need to be doing for the motions that they need to be throwing in. So that was the most important thing for me, is their health. You keep hearing people say, hey, look, your availability is your greatest ability. So if they can throw without pain, obviously soreness is going to be there from the use of muscle and being tired, but I wanted them to be able to throw well mechanically and hopefully avoid injury. We all know that injuries are a part of sports. However, if we can mitigate some of those, that was my primary goal in this training for this week.
Awesome. So we started together back in the winter online. We did the game testing. And what did you notice about that testing that kind of like blew your mind, I guess, about what that showed in those movements to how that parlays out to pitching?
So as I was watching the game test, I was noticing that the boys, the right sequencing was not there. The right movements they were not there either. So it was affecting their ability to throw strikes. One time during the drift, they would be at one release point. The next time they'd be at a different heel strike, a different release point. So when I saw that, and they were having problems throwing strikes, and they were having arm soreness as well, I knew there had to be a different solution. There had to be something out there that made sense to where we could correct those body movements and have more success out of it. So I was very appreciative whenever we learned about the game test and were referred to you by Coach.
So then you decided to bring me down here to Asheville, North Carolina for the last 4 or 5 days. So tell me the biggest takeaways that having me live, or what did you see? What did you learn?
So some of the biggest things that I learned was the initial law that we call it, from the proximal to distal movements, and how to remain strong in that sequence of events, or the kinetic chain as we've talked about in the last 3 days. So that's one of the biggest things I have taken from the training, and seeing them put that in motion and being able to learn this, which I felt like was more along the lines of deprogramming what they have done in the past and reprogramming with the correct motions and the correct movements. Now, like you say, the distal or proximal to distal movements, that's one of the biggest takeaways for me, because I see a lot of things that tend to be different, taught differently, and to see them being able to do those exercises on the arm care side of it made it more real for me, and understanding what it is they're trying to do as they continue their pitching careers.
So one of the biggest things that I have, without being a pushy salesperson, is I've got to cut through all of the noise and the nonsense of these other programs, and we don't have to name them, but we know who they are. What would you tell a parent that's on the fence or doesn't know what to do about working with me directly?
And listen, I'm in a field where we see a lot of other competitors as well. Of course, it's slightly different, so I would never say anything about a competitor. But what I do see is the results over a 3.5-day camp. And that, to me, speaks volumes as far as what these guys, or what it is that you're teaching these guys. So I don't think you have to be a pushy person when the results are what you're looking for. When you're looking for good results, and that's what we've seen over the last 3 days, to deprogram a lot of things that these guys have been taught over the years, and then be reprogrammed, if you will, with the correct motions. To see that kind of gain that fast helps me remain confident in the decision that we make.
Awesome. And the next time we're going to do a podcast together, and I truly appreciate you bringing me down here to help with everybody. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Enjoyed having you. Thank you.